Hey guys, good evening, and thanks for taking the time to check out this video. I wanted to post this to put forward some information about a subject that's pretty important to me. I started a new project concerning Bitcoin, the blockchain, and the people involved. And one of the people that I'm interviewing and traveling with is a leader in the Bitcoin and blockchain community. He's an expert, and he gave a class earlier today to some people who are interested in getting involved. And I've been receiving a lot of different messages from people who I've talked to over the last year and a half about Bitcoin, about blockchain, and either how to get into it or how to make money off of it. And so I shot this just because it's part of the project, not really a great scene or anything, but what it has is great information. And I really encourage you to watch the video all the way to the end, because within it is information that could potentially change not only your life, but the life of every single human being on the planet. If you think back to the 1990s, there was a conversation about how dangerous it was to buy things off the internet. And everyone said, you'll never buy things off the internet, it's too scary. And then it was too scary to put your credit card information on. And then you look at where we are today. This technology is right along those same lines. And so I encourage you to try to break through some of the barriers, listen to what has to be said within this conference call. And if you have any questions, please contact me, let me know. And look forward to a great project on Bitcoin, the blockchain, and Joby Weeks.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Warren. I'm excited. I'm going to call you my Bitcoin bearded brother. So,
there's only a few of us out there, we work in these nice beards.
We're bringing beards back. Come on. No, so yes, I think this is so exciting. And I just looked, and Bitcoin just broke $1,800 a Bitcoin. I mean, this is a new record. And just a month ago, it was $1,000 a Bitcoin. So it's really starting to shoot up. People are really starting to get excited about this and realize the implications. The world will be changed because of Bitcoin and the blockchain. It's already happening right now, and so yes, I'm excited to share with our friends that are just getting started, just learning about it. Many people on here probably don't have any Bitcoin yet. Many might not have a wallet set up yet, so we can walk you through the whole process of what is Bitcoin, how do you get a wallet, what's an exchange, what mining, all that kind of stuff. So I guess I'll start with my story. A friend of mine came up to me, and this was like 2010. I was into gold and silver, and he was like, "You got to look at Bitcoin. You got to look at Bitcoin." And I was like, "I don't understand it. What backs it? It seems just like it's digital." He didn't explain the blockchain to me, so I didn't actually know what made Bitcoin unique. And so, but finally, to get him to leave me alone, I gave him $200. I was like, "Here, leave me alone." I bought 250 Bitcoin at that time. Bitcoin was traded for around 85 cents a Bitcoin. And so he left me alone. And I didn't think about it because I was doing gold and silver and other stuff. And then what happened, about a year, maybe two later, I'm scrolling through Facebook, and I log in on my wall. There's this video on Bitcoin. So I'm like, I think I have some of that. I clicked the video, I watched the video, and I came out like, wow, this is incredible. My friend totally ruined it. He didn't explain it to me at all correctly. Like, he didn't tell me about the blockchain or anything. And so I was like, I have some of that Bitcoin. I went and I logged into my account, and my 250 Bitcoin, my $200 was worth like 40 grand. And my jaw dropped to the ground. Called my wife over. Steph, what is Bitcoin? We got on YouTube. I literally spent the entire day watching hours and hours and hours of video that explain what the blockchain and Bitcoin is, and it really is going to change the world. Because if you think about it, guys, we don't send letters anymore. We send emails. We don't send movies, DVDs, and VHS and all that stuff anymore. We send YouTube links, or we watch movies on Netflix or whatever. We don't do music, CDs and stuff. We got iTunes. So that's the internet. But this new Internet of Things, it's been impossible to send value across the internet, assets, until now with Bitcoin and the blockchain. And so that's what makes this so valuable. That's why, today 250 Bitcoin is now worth, I'd say around $500,000. Is that correct? 250 times 1,800? Be around $500,000. That's just off the top of my head. That's an amazing investment. Imagine putting $200 in and making 500 grand. I'm so disappointed I didn't put $2,000 in. My friend didn't explain it right, so I didn't get it. So I was just like, here, just leave me alone, you know. But I was reading the other day that $10,000 invested in Bitcoin in 2010 is worth $180 million today. So it's literally been like the greatest investment in human history. And some people have capitalized on it. Some people are wanting to continue to capitalize on it. And that's basically what happened with us. Was after getting this, I'm like, you got to look at Bitcoin. You got to look at Bitcoin. I'm giving Bitcoin away to everybody. I'm showing them. And after like a year or two, I'm like, all I'm doing is just giving away money. And back then, Bitcoins were like $1 a Bitcoin. So, I would think of all the money I gave away now that Bitcoins are $1,800. And I'm like, oh man, I think I gave away like $1 million of Bitcoin. I should have just saved it. But, I was trying to spread it out, get everybody excited. Half of the friends I gave Bitcoin to lost their phones or forgot their passwords, and that Bitcoin isn't like gone, Yeah. So I'm sure you've had some friends. I mean, once you guys get excited about this, you're going to want all your friends to switch because, well, why would we want to continue using these banks and credit card companies and PayPal charging us fees and Western Union and MoneyGram? It's so slow and expensive. I mean, trying to send a wire from Hong Kong to California, it takes like 3 days. And then the banks tag on a $45 fee. Why are you going to do that when you could do Bitcoin? It's like a 10-cent fee whether you send $1, $10, $100, $1,000, $1 million, $10 million. You can send $100 million across the world for 10 cents. That's unheard of. And with the Bitcoin now, you can actually take one Bitcoin and break it into 100 million bits. Each bit is called a Satoshi. And that's programmable. This is programmable money. You can have that Satoshi represent anything of value, any asset. We can take it, a physical asset, digitize it, tokenize it, put it on the blockchain, and then send it through the internet instantly to our friends. Anything of value, sneakers, diamonds, gold, barrels of oil, shipping containers, votes in elections, titles to real estate. I mean, this is amazing because, here's why it's amazing. Think about how like Visa works. Visa, MasterCard, American Express, they have these big data centers, right? And they track billions of dollars in transactions around the world. Millions of people use Visa. And every time that Visa card swipes, Visa gets, a 3% rake off the top. So Visa's making, let's say, $100 million a day. I mean, it's something outrageous. Well, so what we decided to do to try to make money with Bitcoin instead of just giving Bitcoin away to everybody was let's copy Visa, but do it with Bitcoin. So we decided to set up our own data center. We got our own servers in it. It's up in Iceland. And that data center tracks all the transactions around the world and secures the blockchain. And so by doing that, it makes us money every single day, which we then take that money, that Bitcoin, and we disperse it in a daily dividend paid out to our investors who buy shares in our data center, in our mining pool. And when you're buying shares, you're not actually buying shares as stock in a company or a security. You're actually buying physical Bitcoin mining hardware, computer equipment. But instead of you taking delivery of this equipment, we ship it to Iceland, connect it with all the other equipment that we have to create this like massive supercomputer. And then it just generates us money. We're buying machines that print money. And so what's cool though about this is anything that takes place on the blockchain, we get a piece of because we're the miners that secure the blockchain. So Visa only makes money when a Visa transaction takes place. They don't make money when barrels of oil move from port to port, or when real estate is sold, or when diamonds or gold or votes in elections take place. They only make money when a Visa card is swiped. Whereas we, the miners, if a barrel of oil moves or a shipping container moves or some real estate is sold, we get a piece of everything that takes place via the transaction fees because we're the miners that secure the blockchain. So the idea is override the entire global economy. I mean, that's the idea is now that all these billionaires and VCs are investing in these apps to API and plug into the blockchain, anything that happens on the blockchain, we make money. Anyways, I can't sleep sometimes thinking about the implications of this,
Yeah. No, it really is cool. I mean, that's, for myself, I just got into the space, a little over a year ago, and a lot of people are calling me an expert right now. And, I think it's kind of funny sometimes because I'm in no means do I ever consider myself an expert. constantly learning. I don't really know how many true experts there really are in this space because it's ever evolving and there's so much stuff that's going on and new changes that are happening, new developers coming in, creating new concepts to try to perfect it and make it something, even better than what it is currently right now, or perfect something that was broken in the past. And so, but yeah, I mean, just a year ago, I got into just purchasing Bitcoin myself. I bought it around 500 and some change, and then within the first month, I saw it go up over 600. I said, "Whoa, hold on a second, what just happened?" Told some friends, and all of a sudden, it started to increase in value. It was over 700, then it went over 800. I look over at my wife. I'm like, "Hey, I'm really glad you reminded me about Bitcoin. Like now it's over $900." She's like, "Whoa, this is really cool."
Yeah.
So at that point, I was just like, well, hey, how can I get more Bitcoin? I think that's what everybody's question is once they kind of get into this and start collecting some. It's like, how do I get more? And it's either you can go and purchase it, or you can mine it. That's really, maybe you're aware of some other ways to get it, but those are really the only two ways I think you can originate it. You buy it from someone else who has it, or you mine it and you're creating it.
Or you can sell something. You can sell something for it. That's kind of like buying it. So a lot of merchants like Starbucks and others are like, hey, you can get a $25 gift card from Starbucks for $20 if you pay with Bitcoin. Target will give you a 10% discount. You can go to a website called purse.io and you can get 10 to 15% off anything on Amazon and stuff. And these merchants really like Bitcoin because there's no chargebacks. That's a huge thing. Number one is there's so much credit card fraud. Target gets hacked, 40 million cards get stolen. And then, all these banks are having to pay all these fees and it's bad. The merchants love the idea of no chargebacks, and Bitcoin, through our program, we only charge a 1% fee on their transactions versus, what the Visa is charging them 3%. So why would a merchant say no chargebacks and lower fees? And you open up this whole world of customers all over the place that are looking to buy and sell and move and trade and do business with Bitcoin because it's such a superior currency than these fiat Federal Reserve notes and others, the euros and the yens and the pounds and the dollars and loonies and everything. Those are all controlled by these central banks, the governments, right? They print all this money, and it makes all of our money worth less and less and less and less and less. Inflation is theft. Inflation is a tax. And if you or I did it, if we printed a bunch of money, we'd go to jail. Counterfeiting is against the law, but they do it. They're robbing from us. And my favorite example, just to show people, is I got two cards. I got a Visa card here, a Chase card, and I got a Shift card. They're both Visas. And what happens is you can spend these Visa cards anywhere that Visa is accepted, right? So let's say I have $400, and I decide I'm going to put $200 in Bitcoin on my Shift card and $200 on my Chase card that's backed by dollars. Okay, so $200 on each. I can spend it the same way. The next year, this card still only has $200 on it. This one's got 40 grand. Today, this card only has $200, but it could probably only buy about $195 worth of stuff because the Fed keeps debasing our currency, inflation, right? Yet this one now has $500,000. Why on earth would you ever use this card again when you have a choice to use this card? Why would you do it? When the money on this card keeps getting worth more and more and more money. That's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, exactly. That's the truth. Well, back to what we were talking about just before that. That's exactly what I saw. I was just like, well, hey, I'm going to keep buying Bitcoin. I think it's going to continue to appreciate. If I could, I thought it was really funny about Purse, just that we were on the topic of that earlier. It's like, hey, we'll give you a 15% discount off of anything you buy on Amazon, but you pay us in Bitcoin. That's kind of like a fee for most people that they would pay just to get into the space. But if you can accumulate it that way, it sounds like a great business idea to me.
Yeah. Yep.
It works.
And so one of the things that I was telling my friends, because there's an argument, do I just buy and hold Bitcoin, or should I put that Bitcoin to work? And I read this book called Retire Young, Retire Rich. It's by a guy named Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad and stuff. And he talks about buying assets. Don't just buy stuff. Buy things that make money first and then have the asset buy. Don't take 50 grand and go buy yourself a brand new car. Take the 50 grand and instead buy yourself an asset that generates cash flow to pay the monthly car payment. 3 years later, the car is paid for, but then you still have that asset generating you cash flow to buy you jet skis or a motorboat or whatever. So in the same way, instead of buying an ounce of gold or buying a Bitcoin and just sitting it in your vault for 5 years, I mean, you come back 5 years later, it's still just one Bitcoin. It's still an ounce of gold. It's just collecting dust. The money's just sitting there. Instead, buy Bitcoin mining hardware, buy shares in BitClub, which will then, over the next 5 years, generate you 3, 4, maybe 5 Bitcoin. So you're actually putting your money to work. And that's what I recommend people do. Of course, have some, save some. But if you really want to grow your wealth, if you want to become financially independent, passive residual income is the way to go. And you need to buy assets, things that create cash flow. And of course, how do you define freedom? I define freedom by when your passive residual income is greater than your monthly expenses. So you either lower your monthly expenses or you raise your passive income. But once your passive income pays for everything, you can quit your job, you can travel the world, have fun. Last year, it's been happening. I mean, we went to 241 cities last year. The year before, we went to 211 cities. I mean, 120 countries. My wife and I have been literally traveling around the world, bringing Bitcoin with us everywhere we go, telling people about it. And there's so many people that can benefit from it. I mean, you look at the world, there's 7 billion people on planet Earth. Only 2 billion have bank accounts. That means 5 billion people don't have bank accounts. I mean, think about that. There's a reason why these people are poor and in the third world and stuff. It's because their countries have been blocked by the banks. They can't do business with us, of course. And out of those 5 billion that don't have bank accounts, 2 billion can't even prove they exist. They don't have birth certificates or driver's licenses or passports or anything. And so, obviously without that, they can't open a bank account. And, it's hard. You go to somewhere like Indonesia, right? I was just there the other day. It's beautiful. But you want to buy some property down there? I mean, they don't have titles. They're like, I own this field to the fence, to the road and tree. This field's mine. But they don't. And even in Haiti, they had titles, but then they had an earthquake and it knocked out the entire building and they lost all their records. They don't know who owns what or what, who is paying taxes. None of that stuff. They don't know any because it wasn't backed up anywhere. Think of Bitcoin and the blockchain as like the cloud, and everything is backed up everywhere. And so it's the first time we can securely transact and send an asset peer to peer and then have it backed up everywhere so everybody knows that transaction took place. And so you can never reverse a transaction that's been loaded to the blockchain, which means, think about it like how a tadpole, eventually becomes a frog. It can't go from a frog back to a tadpole, or a caterpillar, it turns into a butterfly. You never ever heard of a butterfly turning back into, it's just a one way, right? And the blockchain is just like that. That transaction takes place, and then it's loaded to blockchain, all the transactions, every 10 minutes, another block. And you can watch some videos that kind of explain what all that means. But it basically means that we can finally do business peer-to-peer, and we don't need any trusted third party like these banks. We don't need to pay these fees anymore. Real estate transactions, think about in America, it takes a month to buy or sell a house. You got closing costs. You got to do the title insurance and everything. Imagine being able to sell or buy real estate in a split second. That's coming. And think about these poor people in these third world countries, right? Well, we can now secure their identity with the blockchain. There's a company called Civic that my buddy runs. This guy, Vinny, so he's helping those people. You can give them a wallet in a split second. You don't need to sign paperwork or have driver's licenses or anything. You can set up a wallet in literally a minute or two to buy and sell and exchange and conduct business with people all over the world with Bitcoin. We can put the real estate.
Joby, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut it off. I love the idea of Bitcoin. I think it's got outstanding potential, and I've already bought in. I'm really keenly interested in the mining.
Yeah.
And I got on the website today, and I saw that it does not accept USA customers. How do we get past that, and how what's the plan for that?
Yeah, that's fine. So basically, in terms of BitClub, we don't require any identifying information for you to join the club. We don't need your driver's license, your passport, your social security number. We don't need your mailing address, your phone number. We don't need anything that pertains to you. So you can join with a fake name. You can join in your dog's name. We don't care. All we need is your Bitcoin wallet address to pay. But some of our lawyers were basically telling us that in America, because we pay out so much money to everybody and we're not dealing with any governments, we're only accepting Bitcoin in and paying Bitcoin out. Because of that, a lot of people are making a lot of money, and we're not 1099ing them. We're not reporting any of this money that people are making to the IRS. And the IRS looks at U.S. citizens as property. That's why we have the slave surveillance number. I mean the social security number, right? So we're property, and so the government wants to fleece us for as much money as they can get, right? And so we decided that we were going to block IP addresses from the United States, so that if ever one day the IRS does come and ask us, hey, you know, we know you've been paying out millions of dollars to all these Americans. We want you, you know, give us a list of all the Americans that you're paying so we can audit them and destroy their lives and take all their stuff. So my thought on that is, like, if we block it up front and we don't allow Americans to join, then when the IRS, if they ever do come and ask, we can just say, well, no, we're not dealing with Americans. Just kind of like when you want to play online poker. Because you're a slave and you live in America, you can't play online poker. Even though it's your own money, you're not allowed to gamble online, right? And so, but if you set up a VPN to change your IP address to one outside the United States and enter the internet through Europe, which VPNs are very popular. I mean, you go to China, you want to get on Facebook or YouTube, you're blocked unless you use a VPN so you can get onto Facebook and YouTube. Even though you're physically in China, you're entering the internet through Europe. Same thing. If you're in America, you want to play poker, you just use a VPN and you jump into the internet through England, and now you can get to the website. Now you can play poker. You know, so it's a very simple workaround, and so that's basically why we publicly say, you know, we're not allowing Americans to join. We don't know if you're American or not, but the only way for us to tell if you're an American is or to block you from, you know, joining, is to block your IP address if it's an IP address from the United States. So if you want to work around that, you don't believe you're a slave, you believe you're a flesh-blood human being with rights, and you want to operate that way, go for it. Just go get a VPN and join us. So it's not hard to do. Anybody else have any other questions, or should I continue on talking about what I was just talking about?
Well, yeah, I think that just as a whole, I think that if we could just kind of touch a little bit on the opportunity at BitClub, just a little bit of ways that people can, obviously, you know, the contract, the dollar amounts, what kind of hashing power returns and stuff that they could expect on those things. If we could maybe touch on that a little bit, I'll probably answer most people's questions that are lingering out there right now.
You got it. Okay, so you want to get involved with BitClub. It's $99 to join the club. And as a member, now you can buy shares in both the Bitcoin mining pools, the Ethereum mining pools, Zcash, Dash, Monero. We're mining a lot of the very popular cryptocurrencies out there right now. So, you know, and what's cool, actually, when you can go in the back office and you can be like, I want to mine Ethereum this week, and then next week you can press the button and it points the power to mine Dash the next week. And if you want to mine Monero, you think Monero is going to do good, you press the button and then you can go mine Monero. So you have the freedom to be able to point your power and mine whatever currency you think is going to be the most profitable. And what's happened with Ethereum in the last 6 months is incredible. I mean, I got mine at $7. It's at $90 now. I'm like, this is amazing. I mean, the whole entire what's the word? Rising tides rise all ships, or whatever the thing is. I mean, the cryptocurrency market cap has gone up about $25 billion. I think it's at now $38 billion total, but $25 billion since January or something. So rising tides raise all the ships. And so it's pretty hard to lose in this space. So you join the club. It's $99 to join. Over the last 2.5 years, we started mining in 2014, so almost 3 years. We've been averaging 3 to 5% a month for our members. Some months we get a lot more, but I like to undersell and over-deliver. So if I tell you you're going to make 7% and you only make 5%, then you're going to be disappointed. If I tell you you're going to make 3% and you make 5%, now you're happy, right? So when you're talking with your friends, you know, this is such a good thing. Most people aren't making 5% a year, and here we are making it every month. You know, it's unheard of. And like all these old people that are like so stuck in the old way of doing things, where, you know, making a 10% return is like unheard of for them. And here we are doing crazy returns. It's hard for them to believe. So just don't, even if it's true, don't tell things that are impossible for some people to believe, because they'll think you're lying or you're trying to scam them or whatever. So I've got, you know, daily returns that we've been keeping track since we started. You can go on bitclubpool.com. You can see the pool stats. You can see how much hashing power we've got. Right now, we've mined like 2,600 blocks. And right now, every time we hit a block, it's about $25,000. Yesterday, we hit a couple blocks I was looking at. We got $22,000 a block plus about $3,000 in that block of transaction fees, because you know how we override anything and everything that happens on the blockchain. I just imagine making $1 for every real estate transaction that moves around the world. I mean, come on, this is awesome. So we got the transaction fees and the new Bitcoin, and so calculate it up. What's $2,500? 2,500 blocks times $25,000. I mean, we've mined at least $30 million of Bitcoin so far that we've paid out to our members who join us and help us crowdfund this data center. So we sell shares of Bitcoin mining shares for $500 a share. There's still a couple founder positions left, which are $3,500, and that also basically gets you share in pool 1, pool 2, and pool 3, and we throw in CoinPay shares. CoinPay is our merchant acquisition program that we're coming out with very soon. Basically, it will allow all of our members to go and sign up businesses and gas stations and grocery stores and hotels and your local community. You can go around and have them become merchants. They get this app, and we charge them a 1% transaction fee. And so then that money is put into a pool every day. All the thousands and thousands of businesses around the world, 1% transaction fees go into a pool, and then that's dispersed in a daily dividend paid out to all of our CoinPay shareholders. And we don't sell CoinPay shares, we give them away to our founders for free. So this is why it's important to be a founder. you want to jump in and do this with us. So, because then you can override all those transactions too. And what we've also been able to do, we buy mining equipment in bulk. So think about anything. You buy a can of Coke at Safeway or 7-Eleven, I should say. It's about $1 a can if you pay retail and you only buy one can at 7-Eleven. If you go buy a 6-pack from Safeway, it's like 70 cents a can. If you go to Costco and you buy it by the case, you're getting cans for like 40 cents a can. And if you go straight to Coca-Cola, buy 25,000 cans in a pallet, you're getting those cans for 13 cents, right? So you get discounts when you buy in bulk. So a lot of people are like, oh, wow, mining sounds really exciting. I think I'm going to go do that. And then they go on eBay or Amazon and they find a box or whatever and they get it shipped to their doorstep and they try to figure out how to mine. Well, here's the predicament. They paid $1,000 for that box. We got that same box for $40. Or $400, I'm sorry. 40% of what they're paying. We get a 60% discount because we're buying in bulk. We buy $10 million at a time. And so basically, because of that, we can pass those savings on to our members and create a unique compensation plan to incentivize people to help us crowdfund our data center. We're trying to reward our members for bringing their friends and loved ones into the club, because you have to be invited in. It's kind of like a country club. You can't just join. You have to know a member. That member has to invite you in. So that's basically it. So when you're listening to this, you want to join the club, you have to find yourself a member. So go get back to the person who shared this video, this link with you, so that you can get the code to be invited into the club. And then as a member, you can buy shares and mine with us. And if you want to refer others, we give you a commission too. So if you were on your first 2 referrals, you get a 5% commission off of whatever they invest or whatever they purchase in terms of mining hardware. That's the product, is Bitcoin mining hardware. So you're not actually getting paid to raise money. We actually do have a physical product. If you ever want to take delivery of this product, we'll ship it right to your doorstep, and you can try mining yourself in your basement if you want, which some people do. But it's hard to compete because we're up in Iceland paying 6 cents a kilowatt hour, right? Because it's geothermal, and it's cold in Iceland, right? So you don't have to spend a lot of money on air conditioning units and stuff because it's right? But you try to mine in California, they're paying 40 cents a kilowatt hour. So how can you compete with us if you're paying 40 cents a kilowatt hour? You bought the thing for $1,000. We get the same unit for 400. You can't. So that's kind of the idea is, hey, let us do the heavy lifting. We'll do all the mining for you. You just give us your wallet address. You'll get the daily dividends paid out in Bitcoin every single day. You can go in the back office and compound that if you want. So for instance, if let's say you bought 2 shares for $1,000, because each share is $500. If you buy 2 shares for $1,000, let's say it's kind of hard to say what the return is going to be, because we actually don't know what the price of Bitcoin is going to be 6 months or a year from now, and we don't know what the difficulty of the network is going to be. But let's just, for an example, say it's $2 a day per share. So $1,000 make you $4 a day. Now let's say you said it, you can go 50-50 split or 60-40 split or 70-30 split, meaning you can reinvest and compound it. So let's say it's on a 50-50 split. So you're pulling $2 a day out and you're putting that in your pocket and you're reinvesting the other $2 every single day into buying yourself a third share, right? In 250 days times $200, that's $500. You know, now you've got a third share going. So those 3 shares work together to buy you a 4th share. Those 4 shares work together to buy you a 5th share. So it compounds. Meanwhile, you're still pulling your $2 a day out. So you get your initial investment back, and now all of a sudden you're playing with the house's money, and you just have this money machine generating you cash flow. It's awesome. And you know, just to be clear, there's no requirement for you to tell anyone if you don't want to. You don't have to. You can just buy the machine, have it print you the money, you get the Bitcoin, you can keep it a secret. You don't have to tell anyone. There's no requirement. But if you do help us crowdfund, this can be a very lucrative opportunity there as well. So we've got more of that. In the back office, you can read about the compensation plan. Your first 2 referrals, you get 5%. Your next 3 referrals, you get 6%. Your next 3 referrals after that, you get 7%. And then your 9th referral on, you get 8%. So pretty good commissions, kind of like how Uber does it. You know, I've been going around Uber for the last 2 years for free because in my Uber app, it says refer a friend, give your friend a free ride on Uber with this link, and you'll get a free ride too. Well, why on earth would I ever pay for an Uber? I just give away free rides on Uber all the time. And so then I get to fly around on Uber for free. Literally, I've gone on like 50 free rides on Uber because all my friends are like, well, thank you for giving me a free ride. There's got to be a catch. There's no catch. And that's kind of like what Coinbase does too, which is the wallet we start everybody out with. There'll be a link here on the screen somewhere. So how Coinbase does it is they give you $10. So every time you give your friend $10, because you're going to give them a link that lets your friend get $10 in Bitcoin for free. So every time you send that link out to a friend who sets up a wallet, does a buy, they get $10 of Bitcoin for free through Coinbase. Every time you send that out, you get $10 back yourself. So I just go around giving everybody free wallets on Coinbase, and then, you know, I get $10. Yeah, it's awesome. So that's kind of how we start the whole process. Lots of companies do it this way. It's a great way to be able to make money anywhere you go. And so, yeah, Warren, you know, if you got any other questions, I don't know where to go.
Yeah, no, I think that gives everybody, you know, just kind of a good idea of what it is that we're talking about, and obviously a little bit of education on Bitcoin. And, you know, I put my link there in the chat room, and if you have any other questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. I put my email there for everyone to see if you want to click on the chat box. I have my referral link there as well. You know, obviously, if someone else brought you to this call, please do get back with them, and they can share with you how you can be a part of Joby's Mind and everything that we're doing out there at BitClub together. And so, you know, I just think it's an exciting time. You know, I really appreciate, you know, the time that you spent here today to kind of explain a little bit about the space and about the opportunity. And, you know, I definitely encourage people to come and be a part of it. You know, it really is a great time. And like I said, even a year ago when I was first looking at Bitcoin, it was around $540 per coin. Now we're seeing it a little over $1,800. So, you know, it's over tripled in value since I first got in just a year ago. So I can't imagine, you know, what it's going to do in the next year and what it has the potential to do the years to follow after that. So
some people are asking some questions in the chats, so I'm happy to answer. Like one of them is, what machines do we get? We buy from Bitmain and Bitfury. So those are the 2 big chip manufacturers. They're the 16 nanometer chips. And just to let you guys know, imagine Bitcoin mining is like your iPhone, right? So when we first started in 2014, we were using the S3 chips, and then there was the S5 chips, and the S7s. Now we're on the S9s. So imagine your iPhone 3, right? It just came out, the iPhone. So what you do is your hash, get in the Bitcoin, but you got to save a little bit aside. We recommend saving at least 30% aside. So you can pull out 70% a day, but we force you to reinvest at least 30% because you know the iPhone 4 is about to come out. So iPhone 4 comes out, you sell the 3. Hash with the 4. You got to save a little bit aside because you know that the iPhone 5 is coming out. Here it comes. Now you got to sell the 4. You buy the 5. You hash with the 5. You just got to save your 30% at least to get this. Now we're at the iPhone 7. It's the same in mining equipment too. And one of the things that we make people do is we only allow the contracts to run for 1,000 days because, like, if you came in 2 years ago and you bought the S3 chips, and then I came in today and I buy the S9 chips, I'm bringing way more to the table in terms of computer processing power and efficiency and stuff than you are. So it's not fair to me to get paid the same as you because you brought in the S3s, I brought in the S9s. So after 1,000 days, of hashing, that equipment is pretty much not efficient anymore. So the contract drops off. Luckily, because you were saving 30% or so aside, whatever buys you another share, that starts another 1,000-day contract. You hash. You rebuy, and then boom, you have enough money to buy yourself another share. It starts another 1,000-day contract. So that keeps us constantly being able to get the new tech when it comes out. It was the 28 nanometer chips. Now we got 16 nanometer chips. So I don't even know what the next one's going to be. 10 nanometer chips? 7? I mean, it's got to be impossible. But technology keeps getting better and better. So you just gotta plan for the future. If you want this money machine to last for years and years and years, we have another 120 years of Bitcoin mining to do. The last Bitcoin will be mined in the year 2140, and there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. So it's a scarce commodity. It's a deflationary currency. So as time goes on, the supply goes down, goes less and less and less, while demand goes up, which is why we keep seeing the value of Bitcoin continuing to rise. Because it's math. We don't have to trust government or banks to not deflate and print all this money. We trust math. 2 + 2 will always be 4. We don't have to trust in these crazy sociopaths that run these governments, So, anyways, that's kind of the overview, and that's why Bitcoin keeps getting more and more valuable. The first halving, Bitcoin was $6 a Bitcoin. The second halving we had last July, Bitcoin's average price was $300. And a lot of people are saying by the next halving, which will be in 3 years, that Bitcoin's price will be around $10,000 a Bitcoin. And I think it's going to probably be around $3,000 by Christmas, the way we're going. So this is the perfect time to get in. If you think you missed out, you haven't. This is a good time to start. You are a little late. I mean, this did come out in 2009. It's 2017, guys. Let's procrastinate later. Let's do this now, You don't want to be sitting here at Christmas thinking, oh, man, it was 1,800, then now it's 3,000. Oh, I'm an idiot, Because trust me, half the emails I get are from my friends that are like, oh, I really should have listened to you. Oh. And I'm like, it's hard to say I told you so, but I told you so.
I always loved how Roger Vera, and one thing that he always said was he said that, the best time to get into Bitcoin was back in 2009. And he said the second best time to get into Bitcoin is right now.
Right now. So get back to the person that told you about this. Warren, I appreciate you, bro. And let's take this to the world, man.
Definitely, man. Sounds good. Thanks so much, Joby. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everyone else that joined the call as well.